getting more use out of your minor pentatonic scales. That is always a good thing. Join me today as I take a look at the minor pentatonic double stops. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome, friends, to this episode of the Play Guitar Podcast. I am Lee, and this is the podcast that's determined to make you a better guitar player. No matter if you're just starting out or you've been playing for years, this is the show that will help you become the guitarist that you always wanted to be. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and check out the description for all of the links from this show. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, when you buy stuff, that's coming up. I want to announce something. I have a special offer. I made it just for you. This is my chord elevation toolkit. This started out originally as like a mini course. I thought I would just put a little something out there, but I've added so much to it. I don't know if I can call it a mini course anymore. It's a course. The core of this is something that I've been doing for years with my coaching students, and this is my chord embellishment training. I go through each open position chord on each string and show you what you can do on that string to add sparkle, shine, and interest to that plain old chord that you're playing. If you've ever heard a player play a chord progression and it's got cool single lines running in between the chords, or if you've ever wondered how to make, if you have to play 4 measures of just a single chord, how do you make that sound fun and interesting? This is how you do that. So I go through the whole thing and then have you play some great examples that this shows you how to use all of the embellishments in your own playing. I know this is a fantastic training because I've seen the look on people's faces when I go through it every single time. And now I've made it available to members of the audience here. So it's packed out. I've got a ton of extra stuff that I've thrown in there too that's very helpful, and it's kind of related to what the main topic is. You also get double stop embellishment training. You get chord symbols demystified, that training. You get smoother chord switching. You also get the basics of my chord and scale system, and then a bunch of backing tracks as well too. This thing is awesome, and I'm excited to get it for you at the Black Friday Cyber Monday special. Originally, I had it at $49.95, but I want everyone who listens to me to be able to do this and show off a little bit. Plus, if you sound great, I'm looking pretty good there. That's a big win for me. So you can grab this today. I've put it in for $7 packed out. So head over to playguitaracademy.com/chord elevation toolkit and pick it up. You can also click the link in the description. Okay, let's get to today's topic, double stops. Double stops are tons of fun. I love playing double stops. They break up monotony. Say you're playing a lot of single note lead lines, put a couple double stops in there. They sound awesome. They also can harmonize real well. You can stick them to the chord progression as they're going, or you can add little passing harmony in between the chords there. There's a lot of fun going on with double stops there. What are they? They 2 notes at the same time. I find they sound better if they are diatonic, meaning they're from the scale. They work with the chords that are in the scale, but they don't have to be. You can get double stops from anything if you want to, but it's a little bit of work to get good at double stops when you're on the major scale. They travel up and down. They go through the patterns. You have to do a little practicing. But today I want to do something very, very easy. I wanted to introduce to you a new way of thinking about double stops, and that's using the pentatonic scale. So by making this as easy as possible and something that you can do right away, we can do this on the audio podcast as well as the video podcast. Remember that every single one of these podcasts that you listen to, you can go to my YouTube channel and check it out. You can see exactly what I'm doing. But this is something, say you're driving around, say you're hanging out, and I know you're out there. I know we got the truck drivers, we got people coming in and out of work. You might be on the train. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, you're going to get a lot out of this today. But you can get even more with the video as well too. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go through the pentatonic double stops for you today. and I'm going to name them in a way that's kind of a no-brainer. You don't have to think about that. I'm going to play them over a backing track. This is a backing track that goes from an A minor to a C major. So it's like 2 measures of A minor and 2 measures of C major. These same double stops are going to sound different depending on what the chord is underneath there. So let's say we have A minor. I'm playing the A minor pentatonic scale. Now, if you listen to the show, you know that the A minor pentatonic scale is the same notes as the C major pentatonic scale. So when that chord changes underneath, the same intervals that we're playing across this scale, it's going to have a more of a major pentatonic sound. It's very interesting. It's a very neat thing to do. And it's something that, hey, you already know this pattern. We're just going to use pattern 1 today. You can even visualize pattern 1 while you're driving or riding to work today, or exercising or cleaning the house, whatever it is you're doing. Here's the system. Usually in double stops, we classify them like doing them in thirds, or doing them like the root and the fifth, and up and down the notes of the major scale. Sometimes, when you do a chord, you've got the root, the third, and the fifth. Well, we take 2 of those, and then we kind of harmonize that as we go, playing over the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 3 chord. So that's for regular double stops. But this is a little bit different. In pentatonics, it's a little more irregular, because some of the missing notes from the full scale create intervals that are a little different. They come out as you go up and down the scale, where you would have like nice thirds going up and down the scale. Here, you might have fourths one time, fifths the next time. It gets different as you go through the pentatonic scale. You'll hear what I'm talking about as I play it. So with pentatonics, a better way to approach this is by calling them skipped notes. So I'm going to play 4 different types of pentatonic double stops. A skip 1 double stop, a skip 2 double stop, a skip 3 double stop, and then finally the skip 4 double stop. So here's our pattern 1, A minor pentatonic at the 5th fret. We all know this scale. I'm starting on the A note at the 5th fret. 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. That's the fingering. And 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8, 5. Those are the frets as we go across the strings from low to high. So when we do a double stop, we need to have 2 notes. So we can't have 2 notes that are on the same string. They won't come out. So we're going to skip 1. So this is called our skip 1. What we're going to do is we're going to go up the scale, and we're going to base this off of the first note. This is the A. We're going to skip the first note and go to the second. The second note of the A minor pentatonic, this is a D. Okay, so we have an A and a D. It's a fourth. Has this kind of, kind of marching type sound there too. And we're going to take this idea of the skip 1, and we're going to do that for each note of the scale. So this one was off of the first note, the A. Now we're going to go to the C, which is our second note in the minor pentatonic. And we're going to skip 1 and go to the E. Now listen to that. That's a major third. That's C going to E. So we had a fourth and then a major third. Okay. So now we'll go to the third note of the scale. That's the D. Then we'll skip 1. So we've got D and G. Another fourth. We'll go to the 5th note of the scale. That's an E. And we'll skip 1 in the minor pentatonic scale. And that gives us to an A. So E to A. So we have a lot of fourths going on here with a major third kind of thrown in. Okay, so let's go to the next note in the scale. Here is our G, skip 1, that gives us G to C. We're still in that fourths type sound. Then we're gonna go to the next note of the scale, which is the A, skip 1, that goes to D. Now we're back to where we were before. This is the next octave up of that sound. Next note, there's our major third, C to E. And we're back to fourths now. So then we're gonna have our D note, and then we're going to skip 1. That's going to go D to G. Our next note will be E, and that's going to skip 1. We're going to go E to A, and then our final note that we're going to do here for the double stop is G to C. So all together, It's a neat sound. What does that remind you of? Is there a certain song? To me, I hear a lot of different things in that. So if we're playing over an A minor chord, where would be a good double stop to start on? If we start on the first note, that's our A, and then we have a D there. So that's a little strange. That's like the root and the fourth there. So that was off of the first note, 1, 2, 3, 4. But let's look at this double stop, the skip one double stop off of the fourth note of the scale. That's E. And what we do is when we skip one, the next note we get is an A. So that's an E on the bottom and an A on the top. But those are two notes from the A minor pentatonic. In fact, if you do a bar chord, A minor bar chord right there at the 5th fret, those are the two notes that where your third finger and fourth finger press down. So if I was going to play over A minor, I could start these double stops on that one, on the note that starts on the 4th degree of the scale, because those are the two notes that match the chord the most. I'm having fun just playing around with this skip one. I could make up a song with that right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play our backing track here. This has got 2 measures of A minor and 2 measures of C. We'll hear what these sound like over both minor pentatonic and major pentatonic. So that was really fun. It reminds me of several different songs. The one that comes to mind the most is Hot Lana by the Allman Brothers. The way that the two guitars, the twin lead guitars, are harmonized in that song, use this idea. It's a really neat thing to do. And if you want to add some of that style, use a skip one. But what we're going to do, we're going to skip over to skip 2 right now. Well, what would skip 2 be? Skip 2 would be exactly what it sounds like. Instead of skipping one note and going to that one, we're going to skip 2 notes from our original note. So let's try our skip 2 here. We're going to start with our A note, play up 3 notes, skipping 2 of them. So there's 3 ahead of that. That gives us like a power chord sound. That's a 5th, right? A and E. Now let's do the same thing for our C note, the next note in the pattern. So it's C, skip 2. So these 2 notes go together, C and G. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for our D note now, the next note in the pattern. Right, so we have a 5th type sound there. Same for the E. So that's E and C. Same for, and so that's kind of like a C with a 3rd in the bass, right? So then we'll do the same thing for our, G. We have a 5th sound there. Then we'll do the same thing for the A. Pretty cool. That's A and E. Then we'll do the same thing for our C. That's C and G. And then we'll do the same thing for our E. E and A. And then the same thing for our E. E and C. So let's go ahead and get the backing track and play some of these skip 2s. So that one had more of that power chord fifth sound. I found that one sounded really good when I would kind of arpeggiate it, play one note at a time, kind of like Soul Man, that style stuff. It really sounded nice over that track. When I played just the stock double stops together, sometimes it could be a little, it just didn't seem to set in quite as nicely right there. Okay, so let's move over to skip 3 double stops for the minor pentatonic scale. What we're going to do, let's put a little distance between these notes this time. Let's take a look at these intervals. First one is the kind of a flat 7 sound off of the A. Then we're going to go to C, C to A. That's a 6th type sound. Pretty neat. Or you can think of it as a minor third if you flip it. A going to C. That's from the minor third sound. So here we have D going to C. That's kind of a dominant type sound. E going to D. Same thing. Then we've got C going to... then we got G going to E, right? You think of that as like a 6th or a minor third. It's like an E minor type sound. E to G or G to E, right? Then we've got A going to G. We're back to our dominant. There's our C going to A. We talked about that. The 6th or the minor third. And then we've got the D going to C. Okay, first I'll just play them across, see what they sound like, and then I'll try and make them a little bit more musical. Let's go back. And these are a little bit harder to have them sit in. Let's try this. Yeah, there you go. That one was a little harder to get something musical out of, but there was some neat harmonies in there as well too. I wouldn't use all of those double stops, but I might throw 1 or 2 of those into a song that I was working on. So now we'll go to number 4, the skip 4, everybody's favorite. This is the octave. This is going to sound great no matter where you play it right here. So we're going to go up through these. The first one is A. We're going to skip 4 and go to the next note. We get 2 A's right there. So there's our octave. Do the same with the next note. This is C. There's our 2 C's. D. There's our 2 D's. E. There's our 2 E's. G. And then to our A. Our second octave up on the A, and then our C. So all together we have an A, a C, a D, an E, a G, an A, and another C, all available in one area. Now, I wouldn't normally play octaves like this all in one area. Octaves sound great moving around from position to position. This is playing octaves all in one position. But pretty neat, especially if you say you've got chords you got to get to, you can't really move your hand around. It's good to know how to play all of those octaves in the minor pentatonic scale. So one more time, let's put a backing track on there and see what these sound like. So what did you think about those sounds? Personally, I thought some of them were great and some of them were a little difficult to wrap your head around, but it's an easy way to get some new sounds out of your guitar from something old and faithful like the A minor pentatonic scale. Just by harmonizing the notes going back and forth, you can get some pretty neat riffs, licks, and all sorts of things that you're working on. Remember that I've got my $7 Cyber Monday Black Friday deal. This is my chord elevation toolkit. It's loaded full of stuff, and I'm so happy for you to get it. It's over at playguitaracademy.com/chord elevation toolkit. Okay, this was a lot of fun. I am going to call it. That's a wrap. Thanks for joining me today for the Play Guitar Podcast. Make sure to hit the button below to subscribe to the show. And if you've benefited from this podcast, hey, why don't you see me over there on Apple Podcasts and leave a little review? Be good to see you there. This is the best way to make sure we get this very valuable content to players all over the world. And if more help and structure and results in your guitar playing, if that's something that sounds really good to you, head on over to Play Guitar Academy. Say hi to me there, and I will hook you up. I've got a very, very carefully planned guitar system, and together we will build your online home base for guitar. Thanks again. I'll see you on the next episode.